The moment 10-year-old Emma Rodriguez walked onto the voice stage, something heartbreaking filled the air. Not because of her appearance, though the pink headscarf that covered her bald head and her thin, frail frame were noticeable under the bright studio lights, but because of the way she carried herself with a dignity and grace that seemed far beyond her years, as if she had already learned lessons about life that most adults never master. What nobody in that studio knew was that Emma had been fighting acute lymphoblastic leukemia for the past 18 months, enduring chemotherapy treatments that had stolen her hair, her energy, and much of her childhood. And what was about to happen would prove that sometimes the most beautiful dreams come true when we least expect them, especially when they're shared by someone whose time to dream might be running short. Emma had been diagnosed with leukemia when she was 8 years old, turning her family's world upside down in an instant. What had started as fatigue and frequent bruising had quickly escalated into a cancer diagnosis that required immediate and aggressive treatment. For the past year and a half, Emma's life had revolved around hospital visits, chemotherapy sessions, and the constant uncertainty that comes with fighting a disease that doesn't discriminate based on age or dreams. But throughout her treatment, one thing had remained constant: Emma's love for Taylor Swift's music. Her hospital room was decorated with Taylor Swift posters. Her phone was filled with every Taylor Swift song ever recorded, and during her most difficult treatment days, she would listen to Taylor's music to find the strength to keep fighting. "Taylor Swift's songs make me feel like I'm not sick," Emma had told her mother during one particularly difficult chemotherapy session. "When I listen to her music, I can imagine I'm a normal kid again, going to school, playing with friends, dreaming about the future." Emma's mother, Maria, had watched her daughter find comfort and strength in Taylor's music throughout the most challenging period of their lives. When Emma's oncologist had suggested that Emma might enjoy participating in activities that brought her joy during treatment, Maria had submitted an application for The Voice, not really expecting anything to come of it but hoping it might give Emma something positive to focus on. The call from the Voice producers had come as a complete surprise. They had been moved by Emma's story and her obvious musical talent, demonstrated in the audition video she had recorded from her hospital bed. When they offered Emma a chance to audition on the show, it had felt like a miracle during a time when miracles felt desperately needed. Standing on the Voice stage now, Emma felt a mixture of excitement and exhaustion. The chemotherapy had left her weak, but the opportunity to share her voice and her love of music with the world had given her energy she didn't know she still possessed. She had chosen to wear her favorite pink headscarf, the one that made her feel beautiful even without her hair. Blake Shelton, Kelly Clarkson, John Legend, and Niall Horan sat in their red chairs, unaware of Emma's medical condition but immediately sensing something special about this young performer. There was something in her presence that suggested depth, resilience, and a wisdom that seemed inconsistent with her age. Emma stepped up to the microphone and announced her song choice, "Shake It Off" by Taylor Swift. As she began to sing, her voice was clear and strong despite her physical condition, carrying an energy and joy that seemed to contradict everything about her medical situation. She sang with the passion of someone who truly understood the meaning behind the lyrics about shaking off negativity and finding strength in yourself. "I stay out too late. Got nothing in my brain. That's what people say. That's what people say." As Emma sang, something magical happened. The frail, tired child disappeared, replaced by a confident performer who owned every word, every melody, every moment of the song. Her voice soared through Taylor Swift's lyrics, with perfect pitch and emotional understanding, demonstrating not just musical ability but a connection to the music that went beyond technical skill. Blake found himself completely captivated by Emma's performance, not just because of her vocal ability, but because of the pure joy she radiated while singing. Kelly was already tearing up, sensing something profound in the performance. John and Niall were both impressed by the maturity and confidence that Emma was displaying. When Emma reached the chorus, "I'm just gonna shake, 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 I shake it off, I shake it off," her voice rang through the studio with power and determination. In that moment, she wasn't a cancer patient or a sick child. She was purely a performer, purely someone whose voice deserved to be heard. As the final notes faded, all four coaches hit their buttons simultaneously, their chairs spinning around to reveal expressions of amazement and admiration. The audience erupted in applause, everyone understanding that they had witnessed something special. "Emma, that was incredible," Blake called out enthusiastically. "You've got real talent, young lady. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your story?" Emma approached the microphone with a smile that seemed to light up the entire studio, despite the obvious signs of her illness. "Thank you so much, Mr. Blake. I'm 10 years old, and I love to sing. Music makes me feel strong." "You certainly sounded strong up there," Kelly added warmly. "That was a fantastic performance of a Taylor Swift song. Are you a big Taylor Swift fan?" Emma's entire face lit up at the mention of Taylor Swift. "Oh my gosh, yes. Taylor Swift is my hero. I listen to her music every day, especially when I'm in the hospital." The coaches exchanged glances, beginning to understand that there might be more to Emma's story than they initially realized. "In the hospital?" John asked gently. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" Emma nodded, her smile never wavering. "I have leukemia, but I'm fighting it. Taylor Swift's music helps me be brave during my treatments. Her songs remind me that I can shake off anything, even cancer." The studio fell silent as everyone processed what Emma had just shared so matter-of-factly. This child, who had just delivered such a joyful, energetic performance, was battling cancer, using music as her source of strength and hope. Blake felt his throat tighten with emotion as he began to understand the courage it had taken for Emma to be there, the strength she was showing by pursuing her dreams even while fighting for her life. "Emma," Blake said softly, "you are one of the bravest kids I've ever met. Is there anything special you'd like people to know about you?" Emma thought for a moment, then looked directly at Blake with eyes that held both hope and a wisdom beyond her years. "My biggest dream is to meet Taylor Swift before I go to heaven," she said simply, without any hint of self-pity or sadness, just stating what she saw as a simple fact. The words hit Blake like a physical blow. This 10-year-old child, facing a life-threatening illness, wasn't asking for much, just to meet her hero, the person whose music had been her companion through the darkest days of her young life. Blake looked at Emma's hopeful face, then at his fellow coaches, who were all clearly moved by her honesty and courage. In that moment, Blake made a decision that would change everything. "Emma," Blake said, "I want you to choose Team Blake, and I want to promise you something. We're going to do everything we can to make your dreams come true." Emma's eyes widened with joy and surprise. "Really? You really want me on your team?" "Absolutely," Blake confirmed. "But right now I need you to wait here for just a minute. I have to make a very important phone call." Blake walked off stage, pulling out his phone as he headed toward the production area. The cameras followed him as he dialed a number, his expression showing both determination and nervousness. "Taylor? Hi, this is Blake Shelton from The Voice. I know this is unusual, but I have a 10-year-old girl here who is fighting leukemia, and she just told me that her biggest dream is to meet you." She sang "Shake It Off," and it was incredible, but more than that, she says your music has been helping her through her cancer treatments. Blake paused, listening to the response on the other end of the line. "I know it's a lot to ask, but is there any chance you might be able to come to the studio? I think meeting you might mean more to this little girl than anything else in the world." The cameras captured Blake's face, lighting up as he heard Taylor's response. "Really? You can be here in 30 minutes? Taylor, you're an angel. Her name is Emma Rodriguez, and she's about to have the best day of her life." Blake returned to the stage with a smile that he couldn't contain. Emma was still standing at the microphone talking with the other coaches about her favorite Taylor Swift songs. "Emma," Blake called out, "I need you to do me a favor. I need you to close your eyes and count to 10. Emma looked confused but did as Blake asked, closing her eyes and beginning to count slowly. 1, 2, 3. As Emma counted, Blake signaled to the production team, and suddenly Taylor Swift walked onto the stage. moving quietly so Emma wouldn't hear her approaching. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Emma finished, opening her eyes. When Emma saw Taylor Swift standing just a few feet away from her, her reaction was instantaneous and overwhelming. Her hands flew to her mouth, her eyes filled with tears, and she began shaking with disbelief. "Am I dreaming?" Emma whispered, her voice barely audible. "Is that really Taylor Swift?" Taylor approached Emma with tears in her own eyes, understanding immediately the significance of this moment for a child who was fighting such a difficult battle. "Hi, Emma," Taylor said softly, kneeling down to Emma's level. "I heard that you've been listening to my music during your treatments, and I wanted to come meet you personally." Emma was speechless, staring at Taylor as if she couldn't believe what was happening. Finally, she managed to whisper, "You're really here?" "I'm really here," Taylor confirmed, reaching out to gently touch Emma's hand. "Blake told me about your dream, and I couldn't think of anything more important than coming to meet the bravest girl I've ever heard about." Emma began to cry, not from sadness but from overwhelming joy and disbelief. "I can't believe this is really happening. I've dreamed about meeting you every single day." "Dreams do come true, sweetheart," Taylor said, pulling Emma into a gentle hug. "And I want you to know something. You're my hero. The fact that you're fighting so hard, that you're still singing and dreaming and being brave, that makes you the strongest person I know. Would you like to sing something together?" Taylor asked, gesturing toward the microphone. Emma nodded enthusiastically, unable to speak through her tears of joy. Together, they moved to the center of the stage, and Taylor began playing the opening chords of "Shake It Off" on a guitar that had been brought out for her. As Emma and Taylor sang together, their voices blending beautifully, the studio was filled with something that went beyond entertainment. This was a moment of pure magic, pure love, pure human connection. Emma's voice was strong and clear, supported by Taylor's harmony and the knowledge that her biggest dream was coming true. When they finished singing, the applause was thunderous. But more importantly, Emma was beaming with a joy that seemed to radiate from every part of her being. "Emma," Taylor said, "I want you to have something." She removed a bracelet from her wrist, one of her signature friendship bracelets that she was known for giving to special fans. "This bracelet is going to remind you that you have a friend who believes in you, who thinks you're amazing, and who wants you to keep fighting and keep singing." Emma took the bracelet with trembling hands, looking at it as if it were the most precious thing in the world. "And one more thing," Taylor added. "Whenever you have a treatment, whenever you're feeling scared or tired, I want you to remember this moment. Remember that you sang on this stage, that you were brave enough to share your voice with the world, and that your dream came true." Blake, who had been watching from the side of the stage, approached them both, tears streaming down his face. "Emma, I told you we were going to make your dreams come true, but I had no idea it was going to be this incredible." Emma looked at Blake, then at Taylor, then at the audience who was giving her a standing ovation. "This is the best day of my whole life," she said, her voice filled with wonder and gratitude. The segment became one of the most watched and most shared moments in The Voice history, not just because of the surprise appearance by Taylor Swift, but because it captured something authentic about hope, dreams, and the power of human kindness to transform lives. Emma's appearance sparked conversations about childhood cancer, about the importance of hope during treatment, and about the way music can provide comfort and strength during life's most difficult challenges. Blake learned something that day that changed his understanding of what really mattered. "Emma taught me that sometimes the most important thing we can do is help make dreams come true, especially for kids who are fighting battles that most of us can't imagine. Because sometimes the most beautiful moments happen when dreams meet reality. Sometimes the most powerful medicine is hope and joy. And sometimes a 10-year-old girl fighting cancer can teach an entire world that no dream is too big when it's supported by love, kindness, and the belief that miracles really do happen."